It's day 12. Welcome
to Business as Usual.
with an asterisk.
And I'm Mike.
And I'm Mary.
And these are videos just for those of you who want to keep working and keep earning during the lockdown.
That's right.
Yesterday, we had a webinar with 6 of our graduates as guest speakers. And the subject was how to keep earning while we're in lockdown.
In other words, how do you take your business and convert all the systems that you have to virtual systems so that you can keep that momentum going and not just give up on your goals for 2020, nor wait till we're back to business as usual sometime, well, who knows when. So let's share what we learned from each of the people that were interviewed yesterday, Michael.
This came about as a result of our last batch of R-squared coaching calls. And boy, the old Floyd Wickman phrase came right to the front, which was, we might not have it all together, but together
we have it all.
Yeah, and each of our participants on this webinar had a portion of their business that they've been doing remotely, well, for a long time, and have figured out how to do it. And when you put it all together, here's how you can continue to work and earn safely while we're in lockdown in this pandemic. And our first presenter was Bob Persisepi, who talked about not just 3D virtual tours, but also a teaser video that he does on all of his listings. And those who want to learn more, he sends out the 3D full video tour. So it's a 1-minute teaser video followed by those who raise their hand, I want more information, a 7-minute, 3-dimensional video tour of the listing.
And that first message is shot with his iPhone. So it's pretty casual, and it's usually between 30 seconds and maybe it's 60 seconds at the longest. So it's very transportable.
And Bob also said, make sure you have a social media business page on all 3 platforms. Maria Vale from Augusta, Georgia, has been selling homes to military buyers who've been posted all over the country and overseas. She's been doing virtual showings for over 10 years now.
Sometimes even in a war zone.
Yeah. She's getting her soldiers who are buying to send deposit checks via mail because they can't do wire transfers in her state.
And usually the contract says the check should be received within 5 business days. So that's pretty cool. She's also determined that you don't even need like a walkthrough. Like you don't have to write an offer subject to a walkthrough if you begin your relationship with your buyer based on trust, if they really know that you have their best interests in mind.
And with that in mind, she's also willing to send co-broke listings to her buyers as well.
And because they're overseas or long distance, she does quite a bit of work, like, for example, explaining what's across the street, maybe videoing what's across the street. And of course, if you are in a state right now where you cannot drive, then you can have the seller do that for you and send you that video. What's to the south? What's to the north? Let's take a look at the insides of those closets. Let's measure those closets. Things that you normally would not see in a video, but that you certainly would find important if you were walking through a property.
And our Get by Giving Award winner, Bob Daniel, who's averaging 16 listings and 16 sold listings a month so far this year, has gotten 10 listing appointments this week.
Calling expired
and canceled and withdrawn listings.
Yeah.
Using RedX. And he's gotten all of the facts. How many homes went under contract this week? How many homes went on the market this week? And that's his introduction to these people.
Yeah, he asked this question. What do you think is going on in the market right now? How many homes do you think were sold yesterday? Would it surprise you to learn that the number was actually, and then he presents the number. Now in his market, the number yesterday was somewhere in the neighborhood of 83, and the day before, somewhere around 98, and the day before that, 112. I bet if you do research in your neighborhood, you're gonna find the same thing, that in your city, your county, or your state, there was really quite a bit of business done people are still out there listing and selling. And how many closings were there? So his number one thing is he's letting people know he's the expert, and he's giving them some hard, cold facts of how many transactions are actually happening now. Now, when he's talking to expireds or canceleds, he's taking it one step further.
Yeah, if their hesitation is they don't want people coming through their home at this time, he says, what if I could show you how to sell your home without having to open the door to a buyer? And sends them a copy of one of his listings that has a virtual tour on it. And he says, that's how we can sell your home without you ever having to open the door. And he says, from there on, it's a piece of cake.
Isn't that amazing?
Mm-hmm. Kathy Griffith from Oklahoma.
Yeah, Kathy has been doing Facebook Live open houses. And she was extremely organized and gave us all kinds of bullet points. But just to skim across some of the highlights. First of all, you can do them any day of the week and any time that you would like because people are home. Next, you want to make sure that you smile so that when you're recording Facebook Live, your first impression, maybe even the first 4 or 5 or 6 seconds of your Facebook Live is you doing this. So that when there's a frozen image, it's not you doing welcome to the open house.
She also suggests you take them on a tour as if they were seeing the house and walk them through in the same sequence and end up in your favorite room.
And you know what else I love about what she said? She said she has discovered that when people are speaking, they're not looking as intently. Mm-hmm. And when they are looking, they tend to be quiet. So allowing some spaces in your Facebook Live open houses. What a brilliant suggestion.
Then we went on to Rick Rosen, who's been doing Skype buyer qualifying interviews since 2013. And as technology increases, he's applying it. But boy, what a pioneer. From 7 years ago, he's been doing Skype buyer agency qualification interviews, and he suggested we think about options to purchase.
Right. He's a specialist in working with cash buyers and found that when cash buyers buy from him, then once they've prepared that property for sale again, resale, they list with him. And then they want to buy another house and do the same thing. So he has a tremendous book of business, great inspiration, and discovered that with a good upfront sit down, people don't actually need to walk through the house. Again, based on trusting you and also virtual tours.
And finally, Hugh Price from Ohio. He did a couple hundred closings. He did almost $1 million worth of closings yesterday while out fishing on the river with his son. And wow. He says work with inspectors you trust and have them video anything in the home that's problematic.
Right, and share that video with you and with the buyer so you have instant feedback. Also, title companies and mortgage people that you know, that you trust. He talked about a closing that occurred just yesterday on a pretty expensive home, and it was a drive-up closing.
Yeah, they brought the document package out to the car, handed the documents through the window and the pen. Of course, the buyer kept the pen and handed the documents back.
And the notary stamped the notary stamp from the hood of the car.
Wow.
But there are also services where the notary does like a Zoom live kind of thing where they're holding up the driver's license. They've got a transferring system. So be on the alert because these title companies and mortgage companies and appraisals and all these inspections, we're all using technology to solve the same challenges. And when you're working with people that have a desire to keep working and are willing to use technology to solve the problem, we can accomplish anything.
See you next time.